So it looks like Sony's censorship continues to get worse as they are reportedly censoring certain depictions within anime games, which then means that we're seeing more and more of that inside source revealing Sony's censorship against anime to be real. This won't end well for you, Sony. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have it better tomorrow. So, Sony, yet again, as we already know, they've been continuing to crack down on censorship and get worse and worse about it, push their politics into video games. We've been seeing that a lot. And then, of course, censorship of anime, because we've seen a huge agenda that they've had against anime, and this article right here from DualShockers is a very interesting one. Sony reportedly censoring certain depictions in video games. This article has two interesting examples that we're going to look over, and boy, do they show Sony's double standard. So let's look at this. Sony isn't allowing video games to depict dismemberment of human characters, which gets really ridiculous, and you'll see what I mean by the examples in this. You'll see what I mean. Sony is censoring violent depictions in video games. According to a recent report, the degree of violence in video games has been a controversial aspect for quite a while now. It is often debated that games should have lower degrees of violence to make them accessible to a larger audience. Despite that, a number of developers have depicted some mature and dark tones in games. According to a report on GameSpark Japan via Reset Era user iLikeFeed, Reset Era, Sony is asking developers to remove violent depictions in video games. Oh, of course Sony would, because, Sony now has that mentality of, think of the kids! Oh, think of the kids! Like, that's basically the mentality they're going with here. This comes from the Japanese development studio CyberConnect 2's president and CEO, Hiroshi Matsuyama, who states that Sony compelled the developers to make changes in the Naruto Ultimate series. One of the characters in the game, Minato Namikaze, was missing an arm in the original story. However, in the final game, his arm was present to comply with Sony's policies. Now, isn't that interesting? They say that they don't want human characters to be dismembered. When you look at Minato Namikaze within the final arc, he was already dead, and he gets reanimated. And he loses both of his arms in the fights that he's in at the end of the Great Ninja War arc. He loses both of them. Now, here's the double standard of Sony right here when you think about it. Because, Resident Evil, for example, that has dismemberment of zombies. And then, you can have that happen sometimes. And then there's the Soyabus Part 2, which, of course, with that game, there's also dismemberment in that game. But it seems to be a bias against anime games is what they have. Now, of course, there's another example I'm going to bring up in a moment, but definitely seems to be against anime games. But let's keep looking at this article. He further mentions that the reason for that was that the loss of limbs in characters that have a human appearance was not allowed by Sony Interactive Entertainment and not prohibited by Zero as such. So Zero, which they have actually harped on certain things and had censorship before, well, it's not even Zero. It was actually Sony, believe it or not, which I don't think anyone's surprised at this point. Zero is the organization responsible for video game ratings in Japan. In the story, Minato is not technically a human, considering that he was resurrected. However, considering that the character had a human appearance, it wasn't allowed, which is pretty ridiculous if you had to ask me. Quite notable of all is the fact that SIE has allowed such depictions in certain games. Matsuyama mentions that Dragon Ball Z Kakarot has a sequence in which Nappa's arm was dismembered. Okay, so it wasn't Nappa, it was Ten Shinhan. But yeah, Nappa's the one who dismembered him. But yeah, so it's funny that they can allow that, but yet apparently Naruto with Minato, who was reanimated at that point, losing his arm, apparently that's bad, and they don't want that. See, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't understand that. And the other thing is that when you're looking at this, okay, their whole excuse was that Naruto has a more realistic tone. What? I mean, they're both fictional series. See, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what? Oh, see, this is what I mean by this sounds really strange. Because it's like they're setting the standard on anime games that they can and can't do something, but then it's like games that are not anime games, right? then it's like they can just do whatever and it's not a big deal to them. Like, see, it doesn't make any sense. So taking a look at this last paragraph down here. Sony's stance on this matter is quite surprising considering the fact that some of its games have set a benchmark for mature tones in video games. For instance, The Last of Us Part 2 had several such brutal and gory moments, which, despite receiving some criticism, was widely acclaimed as well. With Sony itself making such bold directions in video games itself, it'll be interesting to see what Sony's justification for such a stance is. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the hypocrisy right here, because, you know, they could allow The Last of Us Part 2 to have gore and blood and violence, but then it's like when it comes to anime games, or at least in Naruto's case here, they don't allow that. See, that doesn't make any sense. See, that does not add up at all. And look, you know, Sony wants to continue to push this kind of ideology here. Well, think of it is that, look, PlayStation, it's a damaged brand. You might as well just go ahead and start calling it the Soy Station, because that's what it is. And even Japan realizes that it's damaged goods. Like, they know this. And, you know, if more anime games continue to get censored, in which we've seen them already do in the past, well, you know, it's going to continue to damage the brand. I mean, you know, and it's not good, and that's what severs ties and burns bridges for people. I mean, look at this. When Sony moved over to California, you know, that's where their main headquarters is now. It used to be in Japan, now it's in California, which is the snake's den, and they adopted this Puritan mentality, and they basically just want to cater to the Puritans now. You know, and you look at anime games like Aokana, for example, where they started censoring those games, which Nintendo's not even doing, hilariously enough, which it's so reversed now in comparison to what it used to be, where Sony used to not be censoring things, and then Nintendo used to censor a lot of things. Well, it's just completely backwards now, where Sony has just reverted from how good they used to be. And, you know, you look at their censorship and how bad it's been. I mean, they destroyed the Senran Kagura series. I mean, I know I've gone on about this a lot, I get it, but this is my point. You know, this censorship led to the destruction of an entire series, and which is one of my all-time favorites. And, you know, at that point, you know, the brand is just completely destroyed. And back when the PS3 was hot, you know, back when it was the system, you know, what really helped the PlayStation 3 was actually the anime fans, because of the niche anime games that PlayStation had on its console. But, you know, with them going all censor happy, well, you see what's happened. And, you know, you look back a few months ago, last year, back in June, when an inside source from Sony revealed the censorship policy against anime. You know, of course, at that time, it seemed like it could have been true, but wasn't 100%, but it sounded very accurate. And then, of course, as time has continued to go on, well, it seems like this might have been accurate after all. And, you know, you start to see it more and more, especially whenever Sony goes after anime waifus all the time. You know, for example, you know, censoring them with, like, those weird lens flares. You know, like, it really goes to show that it seems like their policy against anime has been true all along. But also, I mean, who's going to want to buy their games if they do that? You know what I mean? Like, you know, Sony has essentially shot themselves in the foot over this. I mean, that's all on them. That's completely on them. And if they think that continuing to censor anime games and push their politics, you know, if they think that's going to be something that's going to save them, well, customers are just going to continue to leave and take their money elsewhere, where they're not going to have to deal with that crap. And it will not end well for Sony. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Make sure you are still subscribed, because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you are still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like, and also be sure to share the video on social media. Spread the word and get it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. Not only that, but it will keep you up to date on when the newest videos will be released, as well as any other upcoming events in the near future. So be sure to follow me on Discord. Link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow can always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.